Well, I thank you for coming. And any week you could be here any day, we benefit. And I hope it's really, this is meant to be a conversation. I'm not that far ahead of you. Simon Johnson approached me last October and said, what do you think about coming up to MIT? And Tom knows this story. And we were sitting down for lunch in DC. And it was a good time in my life. My 3 girls, I have 3 daughters, and I'm a single dad. And they were, 2 are in grad school and 1 are in undergrad. It was a good time in my life. I said, well, why not? Come up here and get engaged in this digital currency initiative over at the Media Lab. And I've spent a life. I was 18 years at Goldman Sachs on the investment banking side, helping people buy and sell companies, called mergers and acquisitions. And then I went to the trading side, fixed income. I went off to Asia and did I ran the fixed income and currency and swap trading in Asia. And then my last job was the co-finance officer. So we were about $250 billion balance sheet at that time. Goldman Sachs, this is. We were so private, which meant if we lost money, we were personally, I was a general partner, was kaput. That's a technical word. And, but we had 700 legal entities and 1,000 people who could commit the capital of the firm. Those are people we generally call traders. But, it was a fascinating period of time. I then went on to public service because Bob Rubin knew that I'd be a soft touch to service. He was the Treasury Secretary. I was a former partner at Goldman Sachs. And I went off to the U.S. Treasury as an assistant secretary and undersecretary in the late 90s, a little different times than we have now for many reasons. But we were paying down the debt. We were dealing with the Asian debt crisis, long-term capital management, the Russian debt crisis. It was sort of a fascinating period of time. I worked on a bill with John McCain. I didn't get to know Senator McCain that well, but it was just remarkable to work with even for a short period of time, called e-signature. It was a bill that basically said you can sign everything electronically. And he was the chair of the Senate Commerce Committee at the time. It was a wonderful, sometimes in government, you can work on small things. I worked on the redesign of the currency. And I could tell you stories about why it looks the way it does and how you can redesign paper currency. And for a future lecture, I'll tell you the one design feature that is still in the currency, and you can visually see it. And when I asked for it, the fellow that ran the Bureau of Engraving said, why? And I said, because it looks better. And I'm the guy that's approving it, and maybe can we get it done? Can we work this out? And it did look better, and he loved it. He was worried about the political risk of doing it. It was a better design. I said, I'll cover you politically, let's do it. But then I worked with Paul Sarbanes and what became Sarbanes-Oxley. I was his senior advisor. I worked and kicked around some political campaigns. We lost 2 of them. That would be the 2008 Hillary campaign and the 2016 Hillary campaign. I was her chief financial officer. I was in 2008 a senior advisor doing economic policy and outreach and hand-holding and, oh, gosh. And then in the middle of those 2 campaigns, I ran something called the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, which was post-crisis. What do we do? This is a real public policy shortcoming. And I looked at it as an opportunity to, as I said, democratize finance a bit and lower risk. And so we tried to bring transparency to a $300 or $400 trillion market called swaps, which are just contracts for transference of risk. And they're a form of a derivative that were unregulated. And we were trying to bring transparency to that and lower risk through central clearing. So that's sort of my professional life. And as I said, I got 3 daughters, and they're well situated. So when Simon said, come on up, I said, great. And I love MIT. It's just terrific. And you all are great. Unless there's other questions, I'm going to let you go early. I don't.